Welcome. My name is Chris Bortz, and I am a training specialist with Best Friends Animal Society. In this presentation, we are going to take a look at volunteer position descriptions, what they are, why they are important, and how to write them. We are all probably familiar with job descriptions. If we are looking for a new job, they can help us determine if the job will be a good fit. What are the qualifications? What will the working conditions be like? Is there a dress code? What are the hours? Who will I be reporting to? Once we have a job, the job description can help us keep our ultimate goals or mission in sight. It clarifies who is responsible for what, and it can provide a basis for evaluating our performance. A volunteer position description can do many of these same things. Position descriptions are the hallmark of any well-run volunteer program. They are a fundamental best practice for volunteer engagement. Position descriptions allow volunteers to decide up front if this opportunity is a good fit for them before you or they invest any time in onboarding. Have you ever had a volunteer that didn't have the required skills, aptitude, or physical capability to perform well in their role? Been unsure about what a volunteer was or wasn't supposed to be doing? Found that staff didn't know what to expect when a new volunteer showed up? Or seen a problem escalate because a volunteer was not matched to an appropriate position? One of the great things about position descriptions is that a well-written one can help to prevent many problems like these before they even happen. So let's take a look at the elements of a position description. The volunteer position title should be clear and descriptive, perhaps a bit catchy, but not too long or complicated. And you do not have to add the word volunteer to the title, such as social media coordinator volunteer. We already know this is a description for a volunteer position, so that would be redundant. Reports to. This can be a specific employee position title, a department, or a division. It clarifies where the volunteer should go with questions or concerns and states who will be responsible for supervising and supporting the volunteer. For example, with the social media coordinator position mentioned above, they might report to the shelter's marketing director. Position function. You can think of the function as the basic purpose of the position. An example could be, keep Shelter XYZ's Facebook page up to date and engaging. Organizational impact. It is important that volunteers understand how a position will help the animals and/or support the mission of the organization. Sometimes they can figure this out on their own, but it never hurts to be clear about the impact that their efforts will have. One or two sentences should be adequate for describing impact. Look again at our sample position of social media coordinator, and the impact could be increased adoptions by promoting shelter animals and strengthening community engagement. Time commitment and location of work. A position may be for a one-day event, a short-term project, or something more ongoing. Will a volunteer be needed on a specific date, such as June 23rd, or will their help be required just on certain days of the week, such as Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or certain times of day, such as mornings from 7 to 10 a.m.? Can they be expecting to work an average of 2 to 4 hours per week on a project, or are they required to contribute a certain number of hours each month? Will their volunteer work be done from the shelter or an event location, or perhaps it's something they can do remotely from home? For this position, we would say the work can be done from home and will take about 10 hours per week. Core responsibilities. This is a brief, action-oriented list of duties. It describes a bit more specifically what a volunteer in this position will be expected to do. Our social media coordinator, for example, could be expected to keep the Facebook page current with adoptable animals, reply to posted comments or questions, and feature positive outcomes and updates. Qualifications and requirements. When volunteers know up front what the requirements are of a volunteer position, they can see whether or not they are qualified or capable of performing that role. Volunteers can choose to pass on positions that aren't a good fit. This can save everyone a lot of time, energy, and frustration. Some examples of requirements for our social media coordinator position could be access to a computer with an internet connection, thorough understanding of how Facebook operates, knowledge of social media best practices, the ability to respond professionally to all questions and comments, proficiency in the English language, and a willingness to represent the mission and values of Shelter XYZ. You can see how a position description can give a volunteer a really clear picture of what the role is about and what will be expected of them. This helps volunteers find positions that are a good fit and greatly increases the likelihood that the volunteer will feel confident and successful. And a confident and successful volunteer is a volunteer who comes back. If you're trying to increase volunteer retention, using position descriptions can be a big win. It is important to work with other appropriate staff when creating a volunteer position description. Let's say the position is for a dog walker. You probably don't know everything you need to know to write an accurate position description for this. So talk to the kennel staff that works with the dogs. Talk to the trainer or enrichment specialist. They're the people who will know when the dog walkers are needed, mornings, after lunch. They know what the core responsibilities of a dog walker should be. What do they want them to do? Work as a team to develop these position descriptions. Having to develop a position description also demands that the staff slow down and put some thought into what this volunteer will be doing when they show up. Have you ever had a situation where you were the volunteer and the staff person you reported to had no idea what to do with you? Not a great experience as a volunteer. When staff is part of creating the job description, they will be more prepared to work with the volunteer. If you find that your staff isn't really bought in to the idea of working with volunteers, involving them in this process can really help to get them on board. They become part of the process rather than just having the volunteers show up. They can tell you what will work and what won't, what they expect, and how they want things to be done. This increases the likelihood that they will get volunteers who will really be of benefit to them. And that will make them happy. Happy about volunteers, and more willing, maybe even enthusiastic, about working with them. And that positivity on the part of the staff translates into a better experience for the volunteers. And the better the experience, the more likely the volunteers will come back. And now we're back to retention again. Hopefully you're eager to get started writing your own position descriptions, but maybe you're also feeling a bit overwhelmed at the thought of all the position descriptions you're going to have to write. Don't panic. This does not have to happen overnight. Start out by creating position descriptions for new volunteer opportunities as they come up. Maybe you can even train staff so that they will be able to present you with a prepared position description when requesting a new type of volunteer from you. Create a template for them to use and share examples so they will know what you're looking for. Then start creating position descriptions for existing volunteer roles, a bit at a time, perhaps starting with your most popular positions. Remember that quality is more important than quantity, so take your time and develop well thought out descriptions. They'll be worth the effort.